There comes a moment in every person's life, a moment that arrives quietly, almost without warning. A moment that doesn't feel dramatic or loud, but instead unsettling. Like something inside you has shifted 2 degrees to the left, but you can't explain why. You're still living in the same place. You still know the same people. You still wake up in the same bed. But something deep, tender, and not yet fully formed, has begun changing beneath the surface. And at first, all you feel is the discomfort. Routines that once felt familiar now feel heavy. Conversations you used to enjoy somehow drain you. Goals you once chased with confidence suddenly feel meaningless. You try to force yourself back into what used to fit, what used to make sense, what used to feel like home. But it feels like trying to squeeze into clothes you've quietly outgrown. You wonder, what's happening to me? Why am I like this? Why does nothing feel the same? But what if this isn't a sign that you're losing your path, but a sign that you're stepping onto a new one? What if this isn't collapse, but transition? There's a season in life that nobody teaches you about. A hidden season, a subtle season. It's the space between shedding and becoming, between letting go and stepping forward, between who you were and who you're becoming. It's the season where the old version of you is fading, but the new version hasn't fully surfaced yet. It feels like floating. It feels like waiting. It feels like standing in a doorway with no idea what's on the other side. You're not sad. You're not happy. You're not lost. You're not found. You're simply in between. And that is one of the most sacred places a human being can ever stand. Because all transformation happens there, all growth begins there. Every new season of your life starts with a quiet internal shift that the outside world cannot yet see. Not yet. Outgrowing your life doesn't feel graceful. It feels confusing. It feels disorienting. It feels like waking up in a story you no longer relate to. The things that once brought you joy no longer land the same way. The dreams that once pulled you forward suddenly feel empty. The friend circles you used to feel so connected to now feel like you're speaking a different language. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're simply expanding. Imagine a tree that refuses to shed its leaves because last season's leaves were beautiful. Imagine water resisting its own transformation because it's afraid to become steam. Imagine a butterfly struggling to stay in a cocoon because it cannot see the wings forming within it. That's what it feels like to outgrow your life. Everything in you wants to cling to the familiar, even when it's too small for who you're becoming. You feel the discomfort not because you're weak or indecisive, but because your internal world is evolving faster than your external one. You are changing, and everything around you must eventually catch up. Just like nature, your soul moves through seasons. There are seasons of growth, seasons of stillness, seasons of breaking, seasons of rebuilding, seasons of deep reflection, seasons of quiet expansion. You are not meant to stay the same. You're not meant to be energized by the same things forever. You're not meant to hold the same dreams forever. You're not meant to cling to the same versions of yourself forever. Life is cyclical. Growth is cyclical. Identity is cyclical. And the moment you stop forcing yourself into the old season, the new one can finally begin. But most people never talk about the transition. They never talk about the strange middle ground where everything feels uncertain. They never talk about the numbness, the drifting, the quiet confusion. They never talk about the part of growth that feels like loss. Because transformation doesn't always feel like transformation. Sometimes it feels like losing interest, sometimes it feels like disconnection. Sometimes it feels like questioning everything. Sometimes it feels like nothingness. And yet, that nothingness is where the new you begins. There is a profound silence that comes before every major change. It's not depression. It's not lack of motivation. It's not failure. It's your nervous system rebalancing, your intuition recalibrating, your identity rearranging itself. Old beliefs dissolve, old roles unravel, old versions of you loosen their grip. This silence is necessary. Because if you moved straight from the old to the new, without this pause, without this empty space, you would carry all the old patterns into your next chapter. The pause is where healing begins. The pause is where clarity returns. The pause is where you finally hear your own voice again. This isn't stagnation, this is preparation. Your inner world is clearing space for a future version of you that you've only begun to glimpse. When you resist change, it's not because change is bad. It's because the old version of you is trying to survive one more day. You cling to familiar routines. You cling to old relationships. You cling to outdated dreams. You cling to identities that no longer feel true, not because they're right, but because they're familiar. You're afraid to release them because release feels like a death. And in many ways, it is. Every major transformation requires a small part of you to die so that a more expansive part can be born. This isn't a loss. This is evolution. Think about fire. It destroys, yes, but only to make space for new growth. Think about storms. They dismantle, but they also clear the air. Think about tides. They pull away, only to return with new life, new clarity, new energy. Transformation is not gentle, but it is deeply intelligent. The resistance you feel is simply the sacred struggle between the life you've outgrown and the life that's waiting for you. When your soul no longer aligns with your current life, it starts sending signals. Restlessness, disconnection, boredom, lack of excitement, sudden bursts of clarity, sudden waves of confusion, the urge to withdraw, the urge to start over, the urge to create something new, even if you don't know what it is. These are not symptoms of failure. These are symptoms of awakening. Your soul is whispering, nudging, guiding you toward what resonates and away from what has expired. You're being pushed out of misalignment and pulled toward authenticity. Even if you can't see the destination yet, the inner tug you feel is your next chapter calling you forward. One of the hardest truths of transformation is this: anything you lose during this season was never meant to stay in your next one. If a relationship fades, it's because it belongs to the version of you that's shedding. If a dream dissolves, it's because it was only meant to carry you this far. If a path closes, it's because it's not aligned with where your soul is leading you. You are not being abandoned. You are being redirected. Life is clearing away what you've outgrown, so that what's meant for you has room to enter. This is not punishment. This is pruning. This is your new season beginning. Right now, you're standing in a doorway. Behind you is a life that once made sense, but no longer does. Ahead of you is a life you cannot fully see yet. And in the doorway, everything feels uncertain. Your energy, your desires, your identity, your confidence, your direction. You feel like you know something is shifting, but you can't articulate it. You feel like you're waiting for something, but you don't know what. You feel like something is trying to emerge, but it's still taking shape. This doorway is uncomfortable, but it is also sacred. It is the place where your soul whispers, "Trust, keep walking." Because clarity comes after the leap, not before it. Sometimes the new version of you arrives quietly, not with fireworks, but with subtle preferences changing, with small boundaries forming, with tiny whispers of, "I don't want this anymore," with soft nudges of, "I think I'm ready for something else," with gentle clarity that grows louder over time. The new you is not something you create. It is something you uncover. It's already within you, waiting for space to breathe, waiting for permission to emerge, waiting for you to stop clinging to who you used to be. You don't have to become anything. You're simply returning to yourself, to your truth, to your alignment, to the version of you that was always meant to exist. You're not rebuilding from scratch, you're unfolding. Every time you outgrow your life, it's because a more expanded version of you is ready to step forward. And every time you feel afraid of letting go, it's because you've forgotten that endings are just disguised beginnings. You are not dying. You are blooming. You are not unraveling. You are shedding. You are not lost. You are being rerouted. Life isn't taking anything away from you. It's preparing you for alignment. The version of you that is emerging is more grounded, more aware, more aligned, more open, more intuitive, and more powerful than any version you've been before. Your new season isn't coming. It's here. You're already in the middle of it. You're already becoming. Trust what's unfolding. Trust what's leaving. Trust what's arriving. And most importantly, trust yourself. Because you are not falling apart. You are becoming whole. And this is just the beginning.